When you hear the Buddhist term emptiness, you might think of a vast, lonely void or absolute nothingness. But nothing could be further from Buddha's actual teachings. Emptiness is possibly the most misunderstood concept in Buddhist philosophy, especially when translated into Western languages, where it mistakenly became associated with voidness or stark nothingness. Yet emptiness, as understood by Buddha, is anything but nothingness. To grasp this essential teaching, we must first recognize that emptiness is the foundational potential from which all existence arises, not the absence of existence. The renowned Buddhist master, the 12th Tai Situ Rinpoche, beautifully captures this idea in his book Awakening the Sleeping Buddha, describing emptiness as the foundation that makes all things possible. The confusion began when Buddhist texts were first translated from Sanskrit and Tibetan. Early translators used terms like voidness or nothingness, which inadvertently implied a nihilistic vision that nothing actually exists. Buddha, however, meant something profoundly different. The Tibetan term Tongpa Nai offers greater insight. Tongpa means empty, yet beyond human sensory perception. Nai implies endless potentiality. In short, emptiness is not absence. It is the infinite, inconceivable source of all possibility. Imagine the state described by physicists studying quantum mechanics, the vacuum state, the baseline energy level within atoms. Physicists have found this seemingly empty vacuum state isn't empty at all. Particles spontaneously appear and vanish continuously, displaying immense dynamic potential. This scientific observation strikingly parallels the Buddhist concept of emptiness, which also points to a dynamic space that defies concrete definition, yet births endless phenomena like thoughts, emotions, and experiences. To illustrate, consider an anecdote involving the Tibetan Buddhist master Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche. A student approached him with confusion. The student said, "If everything is emptiness, shouldn't we fall through the floor into the earth?" Rinpoche patiently responded, "You've misunderstood. Emptiness. It isn't voidness. Ask yourself, who or what falls if everything is truly empty?" Days later, the same student returned troubled. He feared that recognizing his emptiness meant he would cease to exist. Mingyur Rinpoche calmly asked, "Who or what would dissolve?" highlighting the crucial difference between emptiness and void. He clarified that emptiness is not about non-existence, but rather about recognizing that identity itself is not fixed. This insightful exchange underscores a core Buddhist truth. Emptiness does not negate existence. It clarifies that existence is fluid, ever-changing, and interconnected. The student eventually grasped a profound truth. Emptiness is all-encompassing potentiality. Every aspect of reality, including our very selves, is not fundamentally separate or independently existing, but interconnected and continuously evolving. This realization profoundly alters one's perspective on life and death, birth and decay, showing these concepts as transient appearances arising from infinite potential. However, Mingyur Rinpoche cautioned his student against solidifying this insight into a rigid concept. The genuine understanding of emptiness is experiential rather than intellectual. True insight occurs when the mind transcends concepts entirely, reaching a space beyond thought. Emptiness, therefore, is best comprehended not as a philosophy to dissect intellectually, but as a lived experience that emerges naturally in silence and stillness. When the mind becomes quiet, free of concepts, emotions, and sensory distractions, the underlying reality, emptiness, can reveal itself. Such moments of insight are intuitive beyond logical reasoning, yet profoundly clear and meaningful. This emptiness is neither nihilistic nor barren. It is vibrant, alive, full of infinite potential and dynamism. This truth echoes teachings from both ancient Buddhist wisdom and modern quantum physics, where subatomic particles continually arise from a vacuum state, endlessly emerging and disappearing yet never ceasing to exist. This concept also resonates deeply with contemporary physics, highlighting how seemingly empty spaces or vacuum states in quantum physics are filled with activity, possibility, and the constant emergence and disappearance of particles. Thus, emptiness isn't merely a spiritual idea, but resonates with cutting-edge science as well. In practical terms, realizing emptiness transforms your experience of fear and security. Our greatest fear, death, stems from a misunderstanding of our nature as something solid and permanent. But when you see yourself as inherently empty, ever-changing potential rather than a fixed identity, you discover freedom from this fundamental fear. After all, what could you lose if there is no unchanging self? Who dies and who is born? This awareness liberates you from the desperate pursuit of security and permanence, removing the fear of death because you understand that you already embody infinite potential. An empty mind, therefore, does not denote inactivity or ignorance. Rather, it is a state of complete openness and receptivity, free of distractions, desires, and biases. It is a mind fully awake, without illusions or distortions. In this state, truth and insight naturally arise, unfiltered by personal biases or limitations. You become capable of authentic understanding, peace, and genuine harmony with reality. Ultimately, understanding emptiness invites you into a state of true freedom and peace. It isn't about escaping life, but fully embracing its fluid, interconnected nature. To understand emptiness deeply, you must first let go of trying to conceptualize it intellectually. Instead, cultivate silent awareness, allowing intuitive realization to arise naturally. This direct experience dissolves confusion and fear, revealing the profound beauty, peace, and endless possibility inherent in your own true nature. In conclusion, Buddhism's teaching of emptiness is not a doctrine of nothingness, but an invitation to experience limitless potential and interconnectedness. It challenges us to look beyond simplistic notions of existence and non-existence, opening us to profound insight and genuine freedom. Ultimately, understanding emptiness empowers us to live fearlessly, recognizing that we are, at our deepest level, the infinite potential from which all life arises.